that way.
And hi, welcome to our conversation on being today with Elisabeth Schuijt. How does it get any better than that?
And Rachel and Helen just saying.
And Rachel and Helen, I guess, are we still hiding?
I don't think we're hiding as much anymore. Double Dog dare us to unhide even more, all three of us, and everybody who's willing to.
Because this is the power we have. And what if we can choose to hide or come out?
Yeah, it's kind of like Harry Potter had that invisibility cloak. What if we actually used our capacity for hiding or for showing up to our advantage, and we could be ourselves, and when necessary. I mean, I've seen Gary Douglas sneak out of rooms and nobody has any clue that he's walked out, and there'd be like 600 people in the room and nobody has a clue that he's just made it through the door. So it's a skill and a capacity. So what if rather than stopping ourselves with hiding and using it as a constant, what if rather than doing that, we would actually choose to use it whenever we damn well freaking pleased?
I like it. And I would also prefer not using the word hiding in that case, because then it's just like not showing up or being visible or choosing whatever. Hiding has a bit of a, how do you say it? That annotation?
Connotation.
Yeah, connotation. Thank you.
Yeah. What if? Yeah, that's interesting. There is a connotation there, but what if we don't resist any connotation?
I like that. An undefined hiding. So welcome, Elisabeth. You have been a Being You certified facilitator a damn long time, longer than we have. So we like to know a little more. What made you pick it? What made you play with it? What is it that you love about the tools of Being You? What is it that keeps drawing you to these conversations? How have you seen these conversations change people's lives? Like everything, tell me everything. I want to know it all.
Well, first, this was a newbie thing for me as well. It was the first time Being You. I just joined at the same time. Yes, totally, as you.
What made you do it? What was because you've been around the tools for a very long time, right? You've been around it for several years.
Yes.
When did you discover Access Consciousness?
I think it may have been on the same online event that you discovered Access. It was in 2011. And after that, I went to Dublin, to the other side of the country. We have a small country. The Netherlands is tiny, or rather small compared to other countries. But it was 2.5 hours drive. That's about the most you can drive in once you'll be out.
You can't even get from Houston to Dallas like that. Just saying.
Exactly. So and then after I went to Dublin for foundation class, and then I liked it. So then to London for body class, and then to Rome for 2 and 3, and I just liked playing it. And even with every class, I got more, less problems, because in the beginning it was not like, oh, I want to be me. No, I just wanted to get rid of my problems. I had a lot of shit going on. Can I say that?
Yes, you can. It's one of our favorite words. I'm just saying. Okay. No problem.
No judgment about them.
Okay. And they helped. They made me get lighter and lighter every time, and every class I did, and every time I used the tools and I told someone about it. So I just got hooked, basically. And I did
you got hooked on being happy, or having fun, or at least not
there was a taste for more. Taste for more all the time, and because I saw people like compared to where I came from, it was like, yay, amazing. But then I saw people that were way more happy or had something else that I was like, oh, but I'll have that too. And so I just kept going, and it's just fun and fun to explore. It keeps expanding, basically. And that was a bit of an annoyment, though, that it was not a point to reach. You're not done, like checked.
Ever.
You're good. Exactly.
Ever. Just saying, in case anybody thinks they get it right, they get the stamp of, you are now conscious. You are now being you.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's-
I'm still waiting for my
Yeah, I think it's always something that, oh, I'd like that. I'd like that. More of that, please.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I loved about the interviews you did before. I watched them. Almost all, I guess. And what I loved most about that was people telling about what they did with the tools, with whatever they did. And basically how they didn't try to be someone else. They didn't try to be, to copy or to look like how they should be. So then they would be whatever, good or right, or have it be conscious or whatever you can be. But they did it all their way, and it was really cool to see and perceive basically the space they were being with that. Like, yeah, this is it. This is me, and well, basically take it or leave it. And that was really cool. That was, but without, apologies. Like, this is me. This is it.
Because it isn't having to get anything right, but it's also this joy in being ourselves. Like you were saying, this is it, this is me, this is us kind of thing. It reminded me of The Greatest Showman, you know, the song, This Is Us. It's not having to hide ourselves, not having to live in the dark, not having to, fear the judgment that someone else may have. They may judge us anyway. You guys are on the Being You certified facilitator, like WhatsApp thread thing. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Dane was speaking about something with acoustic, being the acoustic wave, being the acoustic energy. So I'm like, I have been singing literally for the last 4 or 5 days. Ask my daughter. She was going a little nuts with it. Helen disappeared. She'll be right back. But I was singing, I sing the body acoustic. If you ever watched Fame, that was, one of the songs in the movie Fame. And sometimes we put on musicals just for fun. I mean, like Grease or Fame or whatever, Footloose. We just put on all sorts of stuff just to be able to have the music, the singing, the joy, just for a song or two, or the Guardians of the Galaxy opening sequence, because it's just so exciting, all that fighting and the music or whatever. Anyway, I recorded myself, embarrassing as it may be, because I was singing totally off key, and I put it there on the WhatsApp chat, and it was really funny, and I was so proud of myself for not giving a fuck what anybody else may think, and just hi. I was so excited when I was hearing Dane in the 14 billion trillion godzillion monthly program. I was so excited. He was talking about being acoustic, and it hasn't been verbalized in Access for many, many years. And I was like, that. And I had been singing the same thing for the last 4 days, straight, changing the words as I go, but I was having so much fun with it. So what else is possible when we're willing to not care about how is this being received? The how, it's somebody else's problem. They want to receive it, awesome. They don't want to receive it, not my problem. But I can still showing up.
Exactly. And I sometimes have trouble with that still, but the moment you're more in what's the other person or multiple people, what are they going to think, or you're not connected with you anymore. You're more at how they're going to see it. You're trying to look through their eyes, but from a point of judgment. And then it's getting really messy, and then you judge you because you think it might not be what they expect, and then you get totally lost in your own head. And then you probably know those children's drawings, those heads with those
Yes.
legs and arms only. That's what you become. You just become a walking head, and the rest of your body is not connected anymore, is not joining the party. You don't have
That's
anything. You don't have connection to all you are, actually. And that's a bit of a tiny part.
Teeny tiny world. You don't get to, but you know what's really
And not
interesting?
fun. It's not fun.
No, it's not fun at all. Here comes Helen again.
Yay. Oh, Helen.
Yay, hi. My internet just kicked me off.
Oh, that's okay. We got you back. That's what's important. But we were just talking about judgments and trying to contort ourselves to other people's points of view. Like, do we fit into what they are expecting or what they would like? But the thing is, Elisabeth, with that, how many times do we actually misidentify or because to me, okay, so wow, like 10,000 thoughts all at the same time. But what I'm really seeing is that we all, I mean, Dane says it in the book, Being You, Changing the World. He says our point of view creates our reality, right? And we each look at things from a very unique point of view. So it's like we're each living in a different reality in general. And so for me to assume, and it's making an ass out of you and me kind of thing, for me to assume that I actually know what that person would like is putting a lot of me into trying to figure out what they would like. And then based on that judgment, there's this whole twisty, turny thing, trying to then bring it back to me and go, oh, well, I shouldn't be acting like this because this is going to set off all sorts of stuff in their world. But it's really interesting because it's my judgment of what their judgment would be, rather than actually, hey, how are you? How you be? You know, and just letting them be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and especially when we try to help. That's a big thing. When we're trying to help, it's our judgment that they need help. Maybe they don't. Maybe they like where they are. And what's interesting, I love what you said about different perception. And right now I'm in Miami. There was a tropical storm.
yes, I know, we got it. We had straight up rain for a long time.
Yeah. And it's so different because for me, it was like, oh, it's amazing. I love the energy of the storm. And there were times when there was sunshine, so I was able to go to the beach and everything. And there were people who were saying, oh my God, it's such a disaster. It's so dangerous. Don't go outside because something can happen.
Yeah, you might smile.
And you better stay inside.
It was just amazing. Yeah, and today was amazing. Yeah, the ocean was stormy. There was a lot of waves and people were surfing. I mean, you cannot swim in those waves, but people were surfing. And I just went enough so the waves were just like brushing against me. It's such an amazing feeling. And I could see some people were like looking at me. It's like, what are you doing? It's too dangerous.
You're not following the procedure, really.
Norm book guidelines. Yeah.
Okay. Is it me or is it Elisabeth?
That's what I'm wondering. Hang on, I'm shutting off everything else. That's okay.
No,
Elisabeth,
you're fine.
I'm fine.
Rachel,
okay,
you're fine. Yeah. Am I fine?
you're fine. You're fine. We're good.
Yeah,
but
I
yes,
think it's Elisabeth.
if she'll pop, oh, there she is. She's back. Hi. We lost you for a second. So you were saying the norm books, and then you kind of disappeared. Want to have a go at it again, or?
I think that was basically it. I'll just close them. Yeah, it's you're different. That's what I said after.
Okay, yeah, because we each unique. We each have different ideas of what is good for us or not. And what can we be right now?
I
Hello?
like that. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still
Yeah.
here. All of us are here.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
You were saying different, and for me, different, just the word different opens up this, like I've got tears coming to my eyes because it's like this wondrous world of possibilities versus so many people look at different or look at the word weird as, no, that's a taboo. We're not going there.
Mhm.
We don't want to be named that. And, it's such a gift to be, and we already are, right? We already are
Yeah.
different. There's no way to be exactly the same as anybody else. We haven't had the same experiences. We haven't had the same, choices that have been made. We haven't had really the same anything. We're all different by design. I mean, this is just the way we are on the planet. The way we look at the world is entirely different. And yet we do our best to tone down, to limit, to eliminate really that difference, which is the gift that we're being. And that's the being you.
yeah, and that's the kind of weird and stupid maybe also, that we look at people that are not being them to look at what we should be. So they cut off parts of themselves so they can be all the same or fit in, and the ones that are standing out that are like really like different for what reason, they're the one that you pay attention to because they're different. I should stop moving my hands. I'm sorry.
No, I like
that-
hands.
No,
That's part of the difference.
because we like talking with our heads.
see those huge hands.
This is part of being different. This is part of magic fingers.
Yeah, but in the book there's a story that I love that Dave says it's about the relationship. He has a friend with a mini and he likes the girl, but he is like, I don't know, 2 meters high and tall, and then the mini doesn't fit, so chop off the arm, chop off the legs and everything and the head, and then I can fit into the relationship or in your car, and that's also the same with the lives. That if you look at everyone who's cut off every piece that's different, yay, all gray, and well, there's nothing wrong with gray, but me, as you see around me, that's not really my color. So if I should be all gray, I should be very unhappy. I would be very unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's do what works for you. And that was the slogan at the beginning of Access that I heard, that I was like, what do you mean? But that's basically also that if you do what works for you, it doesn't have to work for anyone else. Not that it goes against anyone, but you don't have to look at what is going to work for you by checking, people. Does it make sense?
You don't lose you in the process.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because when you were saying, everyone's looking around and looking for or towards someone who's not being themselves to use that as a guide to, I should be like that. They miss the freshness of this, the freshness and kind of the vulnerability and the realness of someone. When someone is being themselves, when someone is truly just willing to be themselves, there's such an ease around them, like when we go to, we read the Being You book, which we're going to have a book club. I forgot to add in that thing, but I'll post the video, or maybe if somebody can find the link for me, we're going to have a Being You, or I'm just going to announce it and then we'll just paste it all over wherever.
Yeah.
The Being You facilitators are doing a book club, a free book club for anyone and everyone around the world who would like to participate and explore. And it is about the Being You Changing the World book. Because when when you're able to go back, and the Being You book is actually really interesting because it is a conversation. It's very real, and it is a book, yes, but it is not a book that will give you 5 tips to be happy, 7 steps for a great relationship. No, it is a conversation with you that allows whatever's true for you to bubble forth. Now, same thing with Being You classes. Same thing with whenever we're around someone who's being themselves. Like, at the beginning, when we started these conversations on being, we were a bit more nervous, maybe, about, awesome, beingyoubookclub.com. Really? It's that? Oh, that's so cool. All right. So I'm going to go over there and do it. And it starts like in 2 weeks or something like that.
Very soon, yes.
Very, very soon.
I think the 16th or something. Yeah, I was laughing when you said 7 tools to or 5 tools to. It's more like 6,000 tools to get happy, 8 million tools to, and that's because what works for me.
Just barely scratch the surface.
Yes.
There's always more that's being found and explored. Here we go. Now
that's also that was Helen again.
Well, she's in a hotel, and sometimes that happens with the Wi-Fi, etc. No big deal. It's happened here too, especially in stormy times. But it's such a gift because that freshness, it isn't just an out-of-the-box tool set. There's Helen again. It isn't just an out-of-the-box tool set. It's as you discover more about you discover either more about these tools or more tools come to light. So it's that when you're present with something, there's that freshness and a gift.
Yeah. And there's not one thing that like this fits all. There's not one tool that if you use it, this should happen. Yeah, well, some tools do. Like if you do the who does that belong to, you're going to be pretty sure that you have less thoughts in your head. You're going to feel less miserable and all the things for me, that was the case. Most of the things that I thought were mine and all the diseases and illnesses and stuff I thought I had was basically picking up stuff from everyone.
So tell us more about that. So how did you discover this tool and how have you been using it?
Not sure where I got it, but probably in foundation. And I started using it and I thought I really used it diligently. But every time, and it's basically, the tool is for, if you don't know, it's based on the thing that 99% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. And I think about 50% of the physical things are not yours. Or maybe more. And I would say more. That if you, for every thought, feeling, emotion, or something you perceive in your body, you ask, who does it belong to? Or is this mine or someone else's? And if it lightens up, like, it gets lighter, you get lighter, your energy expands, you get a body sensation, whatever it is for you. It's not yours and you don't have to do anything. It was just passing by and you can just think you buy.
Buy.
Yes, exactly. Return to sender. You don't have to grab it from the air and like hold on to it like, oh, I got it. Because then you got it, then congratulations. Or if it contracts like, no, it's not yours. Return it to sender. So is it yours? No. Return to sender. Is it mine? Interesting. Did I buy it? Did I buy it earlier? Yes.
I haven't just this interesting point of view. We can use that.
Also possible. Yeah. I had a client when I still worked a lot more with kinesiology. I had a client and it was like, she said, well, but I've always had it. Okay. So we tested. Okay. So when did you buy it? 2. She was 2. And that was like, yeah, she almost had it always. And that was true, but it still wasn't hers. Yeah, that was funny. So at least I thought it was funny.
Well, it is, because look, you make a decision at the age of 2 that then affects you when you're like, I don't know, 65 or something. That's, I mean, the power of that, I keep going in reverse. That's why I'm messing with my hair, is the mirror image. But there's, imagine how many things we actually like almost condemn ourselves to a life of whatever decision we had taken on, or whatever, something that we may have perceived and thought this is the way it's done, but it's really not our reality. And you were saying before, knowing that as one of the things, well, really, I know, and this could work for me or not. Well, that's such a huge gift to actually tap into what's true for me. If I were being me, what do I know? What works for me? And it isn't all those points of view. Those are all things that, like you were saying, we kind of grabbed as a mask, as I don't know, like a costume to fit in. They're not really us.
Yeah, and the thing, before the age of 2, you're still an energetic being, but before the age of 2, you don't have any separation between you and the rest of the world. So everything that you perceive, you just buy as yours. You copy it. That's how we learn with the mirroring.
That like neurons or something like that.
Yeah, I know it in Dutch, but that's not going to be helpful.
That's all right. You can hit us with Dutch anyway. It's always good to know more languages.
So, but that's before the age of 2, you bought a whole bunch of stuff from your parents and everyone that's been around. And you're not even aware that it might not be yours, that there might be another way, because this is the way we do it. That's what you learned. But hey, what if it doesn't have to be like that? And with the questioning of like, is that mine? Is that even my point of view? That was like almost like the client I had with no, it's more like my mom's. Like, I hate being in the rain. No, well, it's not always fun if you have an appointment and you get soaked. And then you'll be soaked all day or all appointment. That is not that much fun. But on the way home, I don't mind. Or if I have an umbrella, it's not that I in generally don't like rain or hate rain, as my mother stated it. That's not mine. But you buy them. Just, it's a stupid example, but yeah.
No, but then you're like a mini version. It was in Austin Powers. There was Dr. Evil, and then the little one. A mini Dr. Evil there. And that's essentially what we've done, is we've duplicated other people's realities. And the really cool thing for me is this recognition that it's not that necessarily, okay, some people are assholes or they're not really well-meaning, but most people just do the best that they can with what they got, or with the understanding that they've got, the awareness that they've got, whatever, their concept of what reality is. And so they just live the only way they know how. And then we take that, and rather than looking at a world of possibilities, we're duplicating their can't have that. But
their standard answers. Yeah, looking in the database. Oh, had that before. Ta-da! That worked in 1805. Let's try that one again. It's very limited.
And a lot of times it didn't even work. And we kind of like resist that. Not necessarily like we want to have that. It's sometimes a resistance to something brings that into our lives, and we're using it even kind of like unconsciously. Where like, oh, I will never do that. I will never do it like my mom did. And guess what?
Yeah, that was annoying.
20 years later, you're doing exactly that.
Yeah, first you have to adopt it in order to be able to push it away. Like, what?
Resistance is futile, my friend.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Picked it up. So what if we didn't resist and react or align and agree with anything? And just
okay, that's a really big thing. So then delve more into that, please. Because most people live their life as like rebel without a cause, or with a cause, or just because. and they resist and react and rebel against, and that's their way of living. And I have to show myself
That was my life.
therefore I will spike my hair out, I will label myself this or that, I will do that, whatever it is, which is just sticking yourself in a different box than that box. But it's not unboxing. It's reboxing.
Exactly. It's not unboxing, it's just choosing a different box.
Could be
you're
bigger.
trying to put it.
Yeah.
Could be
Maybe
bigger,
you
could be
got, like
smaller.
glitter on the inside of that box. Maybe velvet.
Yeah.
Decorating it.
And I always talk about when I came to this country, my uncle told me that I have to go to high school. And I'm like, nope, F you, I'm going to college. And it wasn't because I was choosing it. That was out of resistance and reaction at that time. I mean, it did create greater. I'm happy about that. But all my life, if people would tell me what to do, I would run the opposite way. It doesn't matter what it was.
Humanoid.
Yeah, typical humanoid. But I had no idea about the tools, like what my life would be in 5 years if I choose that or not choose that. It was more like, oh, you want me to do what? Nope, not doing it.
So kind of thing.
I don't think so. You don't want me to do what? Oh, excuse me?
And it's a reaction, and it leaves you no choice. So,
exactly.
But, yeah.
No choice,
No
joy. When you said choice just now, it sounded like you said Joyce. And at least here, I don't know, it popped in my head. And that's no choice and no joy in the choosing.
No, because it's all reactions. When we are in reaction, there is no possibility. There is only like conclusions, computation, projections, but there is no joy, there is no ease.
Yeah.
It's pretty much okay. I have to do it just because somebody said not to do it, or the other way around. It's like,
what would you guys have chosen if you didn't do it based on what your parents said? Your parents are your close family members, because in this case you were saying your uncle. But what would you have chosen to explore, to experience, to be, had you not tried to do things in your, teenage years the way or against the way your parents or family members were saying? What would be like?
Because I was asking the same thing. And a lot of times, because we create our reality based upon our points of view, right? So what I actually realized that I created that. My uncle told me that kind of like almost like pushing me to do what I desired anyway. So a lot of times it is a reaction.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much
reaction.
But I'm not sure how much was desire or how much was my family are doctors, therefore I shall also be a doctor.
That's for sure. I'm not talking even about choosing to be a doctor. That was a reaction to be like my mom. But there were other options. But I'm talking about just going to college, because that's kind of like a desire. I knew I was going to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to be one of those people working in McDonald's, because I did work in, it was a hot dog place when I just came. And I'm like, that's not the life I desire. So, and it was a job. I just needed the money. That's all fine. But I desired something greater. And people tell me, it's like, how lucky you are that you were a doctor. And I'm like, yeah, but I chose that. Yeah. A lot of times people judge, oh, it's luck. You got to medical school, it was luck. You got to college, it was luck. Yes, it was luck, but it was a choice that created the magic of the luck.
And I would
And
double dog dare you to actually acknowledge that you have the superpower of luck. In being you, there is more ease and luck in everything, wouldn't you say?
yeah,
It's
when we
like a
are being
cycle of-
us,
yeah.
yeah, when we are being us, suddenly the universe like, oh, you desire that? Here it is on the, what is it, the gold plate with
Silver
the
platter.
beauty, silver platter, but it's in Russian it's a little different. It's a gold plate with the blue lining, something like
Oh,
that.
I thought you were going to say with a head on it. I know that one from the Bible, but that's not what we're going on.
But I'm talking about more about when we are being us, we kind of like go with the flow of energy instead of against it.
And even
Because
if you're not being you, the universe supports you, whatever you're asking or vibrating or like having as a point of view. You're getting what you're asking for, whether you want it or not. You better ask what you want.
Well, when you say it, that's essentially what you're getting, whether you're complaining about it or you're actually asking for what it is that you desire. But even in that, even in what you're saying there's this, most people don't even realize that they can actually ask for things that they desire. And so their life is created based on other people's points of view of what's possible or what's realistic or what's, whatever worked for them or didn't, and they have, that to complain about. We don't even actually get to know what is it that, like, we don't get to know who we be. Like, we don't even give ourselves that tiny open door of space to choose and to wonder, if I were truly being me, what would I choose? What would I be? What would I explore? We don't even do that. We just, kind of keep living life according to the guidelines.
I love what Rachel, and I love that. And also what Helen just said, like, I wasn't lucky to be a medical doctor, but I chose it. How many people don't even realize that with their choice they can create something else, and that basically that where they're at is based on the choices they made. You can either be like, okay, boo hoo, I know that one very well. Like, oh, I can't change it, and then contract, and then you're right, you cannot change it because you're in a tiniest box possible, and there is no space for you. You don't even fit in your own box.
Yeah.
And or you can ask, what else? Hands again.
And it's interesting. People make excuses. They say, oh, I'm too old to do that. Which is interesting because I had a guy who was in his late 30s or 40s in medical school. He chose it. He had a different profession. He went through the army, and at a certain point, he's like, no, I'll choose to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And he became an amazing doctor. He had the family and the whole thing. He actually was married when he actually chose that. Because people say, oh, I'm married, I'm supposed to support my family. It's a choice. It's what you choose. Create your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one example of, it's not really what you choose, but in a way it is, because it's a point of view. My grandma passed away 2 years ago. She was 93, almost 93. And she had a few points of view. One was that sugar was amazing because someone made it through the Second World War by getting some sugar. I'm not sure which medical. I should have asked her. But so that person made it through war with sugar. So for her, sugar was her medication. So she really put so much sugar in a cup of tea, cookies, anything. And she was quite healthy until the day she died. But the moment she died, she had always said, I'm not going to move. I don't want to move. I want to, you can just leave me here and I'll get out of here in a coffin, basically. That's what she said. And she had a small stroke, so she had to be taken care of. She was temporarily in a home for 3 months. Then the day that she was going to move to her permanent room, and temporarily was okay, apparently. But the day they were moving her stuff to her permanent room, she fell, hit her head, and died.
Yeah.
Really,
so cool,
like,
actually.
her point of view is she's been telling it all her life. Really, she's been saying, I don't want to move. Just take me out in a coffin. It's a bit different between 6 pieces of wood. But yeah, I'm not going to move. And she didn't. She was not going to move. It was so yeah, that was really
that. Look at the power there. And that amazing, like, truly, like, what is it that you're using to create? And my parents used to have a business. We had a family business in Texas. And my parents, also war generation, they're both survivors of the Holocaust. And for them, like, your work defined you, literally. Who are you without your work, right? And work was everything. And so we worked in a family business. Oh, there was no like vacation, forget it. We'd go to trade shows. You want to stay later for a day or two? Maybe we'll make an exception once, but generally, we don't do that. We work. Right? And my father had this saying, the only way we're out of here is if we go out on a stretcher. And literally, whether it was Christmas time, Christmas was a big holiday, you know, there was a lot of prepping for the day. There was no like off time. There was no off time between Christmas and New Year's. That was when we did inventory, or when, you know, everything was all revolving around work. And what, family vacation? Really? We don't do that. You know, we work. And so it's really, really funny because he had the point of view that in order to leave the business, vacation, life, anything, you'd have to go out on a stretcher. Well, we made the business go out on a stretcher, you know, rather than sacrifice ourselves necessarily. But it's interesting how deeply the points that we hold on to and that we fix and affix to every experience in our life literally create every experience, how the universe responds to us, how other people respond to us, everything. And that's really cool with your grandma, though, that she knew it, damn it, and they weren't going to move her.
Yeah, it was a bit unexpected. And we were not that much joyful. I was pretty angry when I discovered, but hey, it was her choice. I should have known. Basically, I could have been prepared. Only
no surprises here.
Yeah, exactly.
And plus the sugar thing that you're saying, that sugar was this medicinal thing for her. You know, what a gift, and how different than so many people who demonize sugar in general and diet things and all sorts of things. And I don't know if you saw My Greek Wedding, my I think it's called My Greek Wedding, the movie.
Yeah.
The father there would use Windex for everything. Your elbow hurts, of Windex. You got a cut over there, let me spray some Windex. So it's funny. You know?
Yeah, I think it's called My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
There you
That's
go.
The one. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, but now we're calling, now that I'm mentioning my grandma was also different in the way that she was looking at life. She had such a gratitude for everything. Plants, birds, clouds, people, like everything that she could be grateful for, she was grateful for. And that was not like, I'm going to be grateful, so conclusion that's going to lead me to something. That was just her way of life. She was how do you call it? She was also inspired by the Bible, and that worked for her in a way that it worked for her.
Mhm.
So she
It's
had
interesting
this
you said
way.
inspired, but you didn't say religious.
Exactly. She was very well. She went to church every Sunday, or she listened to church when she wasn't able to go there anymore. But yeah, she was on her bike. But she, um, yeah, used it the way it inspired her. Truly, that's basic. Yeah, that's it. And
Being a survivor of the war and seeing so much death and suffering and pain all around, when you can look out and look around you and you see the butterflies and the clouds and the birds and that the leaves rustling on the trees, you appreciate the miracle in everything. In the flower that's coming through the snowy ground and shooting out green leaves, and then the blossom opens. I mean, it's just it's magical, when you're willing to see it that way. And she had the
exactly.
depth of like the dark experience, I guess, to be able to see the light beyond it. Now, we don't have to go through anything dark, really, to be able to see the light. We can just choose to be gratitude rather than do
Exactly.
gratitude.
And it doesn't have to, because I know more people that survived, or well, by now I don't anymore, but earlier I knew more people that had survived the war, and not all of them were like that. A lot of them were they were stuck in fear. They were holding on to whatever they had because whoever can take it away or whatever is going to happen.
Yeah.
So but she always had it. It was very funny because she always had 3 packages of soap, 3 packages of coffee, obviously 3 packages of sugar, and a few, like the milk you can keep longer, not the refrigerated ones, but
The boxed ones.
if it was really bad and she really didn't have any fresh stuff brought in, she would have the ones that you could put in on the shelf forever almost. And that was it. Like that would bring her through, well, coffee, sugar, and
The
milk.
important stuff of the step coffee and sugar.
And maybe a can of soup also, but yeah, that was it.
My grandmother kept ketchup. I don't know why, but after she passed away, when I went to go through some of her apartment after she'd passed away, I think I was in my very early 20s, or actually, no, I was probably in my late teens. I was shocked because she had 7 bottles of ketchup in her cupboard and cans of food beneath her bed. And I'm like, oh, yeah. You can't exactly, let me just toss this on my back and run off with it. I can't really do that. You got you. It's not all that other stuff that's going to save you. You and your awareness and your choices and your willingness to look at the world a different way. That's being prepared more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like your grandma style with the coffee and the.
Yeah.
I love that coffee.
Me too. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's been such an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I do have another question for Elisabeth. How has coming at things, because so we all kind of discovered Access more or less around the same time. And we've all been exposed to the tools and choosing more of the tools, in different ways since 2011, 2012, all of us. And I notice anyway in me, a difference in the way I approach, whether it's a book or a book club or a class that I'm facilitating or a conversation, even this is very different with kind of coming like from the perspective of being you versus I'm being a good facilitator of access consciousness, or something like that. So how have these tools or incorporate, because I'm even noticing, and I was attempting to say it before and then got distracted, there are differences. Like if you perceive, like you watched the videos from the very beginning when we started these conversations on being, and we were still trying to be, even though we were coming out of hiding and we were incorporating more of the being you tools, but there was still more of this like trying to be rather than just being, even in these conversations with the being you certified facilitators. I can pick that up on me, like just energetically, the change. Can
I say something about that?
Sure.
Because that might be, because I thought about that too. Let's just say the word thought, by lack of another word. If you, because sometimes when you're being something, you don't notice that because you're being a space, or so even by maybe not coming out of hiding, you were still being like a lot of you, right? And when you look at it afterwards, you're more. So compared to what you're then, you were, but maybe in that moment you were brilliantly you. And so I'm not sure. And I kind of, if I answer that question for me, can you rephrase it?
Well, maybe it was kind of like an question, like, how are you approaching things different now? But you sort of answered it, like with the more you're being every day, there's a difference in.
I think, yeah, I not being,
I think
not judging for me, I guess, and that's I'm getting better at that, not judging me and not judging how it's supposed to be, but really from and not from all those tools basically, and using them more and more and more. And it's so funny because what I just said to you about applying tools, and because I regularly have, after a big class, that I'm like, holy cow, I only just got this tool. But before that, I was using it and I had great effect. It was working fantastically. But then after, something's changing and it's all expanding, and it's you're getting it way more. And with the same tools, I had that, well, with the Who Does It Belong To, I think I had that 10 times, like, holy cow, I didn't really get that was possible. How does it get any better than that? And so yeah, keep not judging, keep expanding, keep asking questions, keep being me. And basically it's a cruise. What did I say? It's a road trip.
Yeah, like a total adventure.
Yeah, adventure. I like that. And you don't have, and that's the thing with an adventure, you don't have to end up where everyone else ends up. Like there's not a destination, there's not a point to go to. Yeah. Not like all is well, but it's basically, if you don't judge it and you there's something happening that was unexpected, and you ask a question like, okay, what's right about this? Not, oh, you stupid cow, well, could you choose that? That's usually never creating anything else. Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, choose your questions as well. And that usually makes it easier. And if it's not easy, I saw recently something from Emily, an announcement that she was going to do a Facebook Live or something. Like, I'm not always happy. No, I wake up unhappy sometimes, or often. I live in the city center of Amsterdam. There's a lot going on. If I'm not aware of, hey, is this mine, or am I just aware of everyone? The big example is Sunday and Saturday. Like, holy cow.
Oh, the hangovers.
Yes, and a lot of like being frustrated that you didn't get whatever LA, you lost so much money, you spend all your money, whatever point of view you can have on a day after you've been, yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and yeah. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, and if not,
No, you did. And I was just saying this morning, not only is it the who does this belong to, but the all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory.
Yeah.
Even that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I had to use it this morning quite a bit in Miami.
Yeah. But I'd say that's pretty much everywhere. We're so much more aware than ever acknowledged. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned Amsterdam. I remember streaming a foundation level one, which is now called the foundation class, which was amazing. And Gary Douglas was facilitating it, and it was in Amsterdam. And 2014. I was drugged. I was on the other side of the world watching, and I was just like, and I didn't feel like myself. And he's like, yeah, you people are perceptive. You pick stuff up long distance, and it's amazing. And that was long distance on a live stream, but you're there in the hot pot.
Yep.
And it was so funny. Yeah, it was so funny. I was leaving Holland, going to Belgium, kind of like I did my class, and we were going for a little tour of Belgium. And it was funny. I had no idea where the border was. But I did, as soon as we kind of like left Holland, my brain cleared up. It was so bizarre. Because they don't allow drugs in Belgium. And in Holland, it's open. So the perception was like, I wasn't picking it up. I was just aware of those people using drugs. So my brain, I didn't even realize how much my brain was affected by the awareness of the drugs until we kind of moved. And suddenly it's like, wait a second, what just happened? My brain cleared up. And Lena was like, oh, we just left Holland. You're in Belgium now.
That's really fascinating. But look at the capacities that we have.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So how much our life can be different if we just realize that we're aware that it's not ours.
Yeah. So you've really developed those who does this belong to muscles. That's awesome.
Well, not
and you
yes, and I can still. Sorry.
And you have to when you live in the area like that, or any parts of the world nowadays.
I was going to say you live around people, unless you're off in the forest by yourself. Yeah. But it's a develop. I mean, you're much further along the journey of who does this belong to, and recognizing that it's not yours now than you were in 2011 when you thought that it was all you, and you have to fix it somehow. And now you realize it's not you. You just happen to be such a highly tuned, perceptive, antenna that picks up on all this stuff. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
And I'm sure that in, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years down the line, the nuances of the tool would be far more would change your life even more by being that tool and being that space and being that wondering.
Yeah. And the funny thing is also with, not sure if you were trying to wrap it up, but sorry.
We probably should, because it's about an hour, but after this. Well, time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah. Well, you can call it sensitive, and that has bit of a bad sense to it, almost. And but you can also call it, as you said, perceptive. And you can also use that, which is another question I often ask, how can I use that to my advantage?
I like that.
is if you can tap into people with so much ease, what else can you tap into? Like I was often in the forest. We don't have such a big country, so the forest is not like drive for hours and see no one. No, then you'll be out of the country. So,
Yeah.
there's more trees than in the city center. So, but there, that's what I want to say. I also had to ask who does that belong to. But if I'm here, I can still tap into what would it be like if I would be there?
Yeah.
And what would it be like if I would be swimming in the ocean right now?
Mhm.
And it's funny with the questions you asked, like I perceive a different energy. What would it be like if I would be scuba diving? And those are things I have done. So those are different, but you instantaneously, I notice something different happening in my body. And that's, so you can tap into most things. I don't even know if you have to be perceptive or sensitive for that, or you just can ask a question that opens up that space. Yeah.
What a concept. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool, you know, so things,
So that's an invitation for people who are listening.
yeah.
So what? Just ask. You might not know how. Just ask.
But you have that awareness of something else available and possible. And it could be when you've physically done it, or it could be, I've never done scuba diving, but when you were, well, I read Jaws when I was 10. That kind of took care of that stuff for me. So maybe I'll do one of those, you know, being you classes with dolphins that Samantha does. Samantha Lewis, we'll see one day in the future. But when you were speaking about that, I just perceive this calmness and this expansiveness and this just almost like a soft silence, you know, in my world. And I've never gone scuba diving before. So I could tap into it based on the energy that you were aware of and tapping
Yeah.
into. And so what gifts are we also by our awareness of possibilities that other people, if they're willing, could tap into that and have that spaciousness and those possibilities for themselves as well.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so cool.
I do wonder what it would be like to be in the forest in Guatemala or something on your hilltop. So, like,
Yeah,
things like that.
beach there, you know, kind of the hotels in the back, but looking out at the stormy ocean and the surfers navigating it there in Florida, where Helen is right now.
Yeah.
What would that be? This is
And
so.
we can be anywhere and everywhere and tapping into any energy.
Yeah,
It's magic.
it really is.
It is. We are magical.
And the thing is that when we have the point of view creates our reality. So if we have the point of view that we can, and we have the point of view that it's a possibility for us, then there are no, you know, those thoughts and barriers and barricades and obstacles that come up saying, no, you can't because you're not there physically. You know, all that can just fall by the wayside and you can just receive and receive and receive.
And it still might be more fun to go to not just be on your couch and like virtually perceive everything, but go outside and really go to see a real tree or something like that. But yeah, you have the possibility to tap into anything, anywhere, at any moment. And we most of the time do, but we're not aware of it, and we're not even acknowledging that it's not ours. So what if you can tap into something that, well, is fun? With the choice.
Just a choice.
It
Thank you, Elisabeth. Thank you, Rachel. And
I'm so excited. This conversation is so yummy, and I'm really grateful that we played together. Thank you.
Same here.
So
Thank you very much for the fun and the opportunity. Thank you, ladies.
It is our
Thank you.
pleasure, and y'all know how to reach out. You can find any of the three of us on Access Consciousness, and you can find Elisabeth on Facebook and Helen and I on Facebook. There's, how do you pronounce that word, yourself?
Word jezelf.
Word yourself. Word
Word
yourself.
jezelf.
The
Yeah.
cup of sugar, the little bit of milk, and there you go. And Helen and I are here. You can find us on Linktree. Actually, no, you don't find us on Linktree, but all the links on where to find. You
On
can
the
find.
website and stuff.
There you go.
You
Yeah,
can find them everywhere.
it is. And we're very grateful that y'all were here. You can find more on the accessconsciousness.com website or the Being You bookclub.com. Being You Book Club is starting, I think, the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. So that's like in freaking 8 days. That's like starting like, sign up, people. You'll get your Zooms, get your copy of the book. It's a brilliant book, and it talks to you, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us in the book club. I hope you can join us here and there and everywhere, and keep being you. It's really a huge gift to you and to the world. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. And we'll see you soon. Bye.